beat up the colonel in an alleyway and got the secret to the crispy fried chicken. I waterboarded Mr. Krabs until he told me how to make that burger, and now I've got the secret formula for the damage equation for Dark and Darker. Let's rock and roll, baby. Now, I can't read, and I certainly can't do math, but somehow I pulled this out of my ass. Here's the equation. The first part of the equation is taking your total weapon damage and adding in your physical power bonus percentage. So your total weapon damage is just the base value of your weapon plus any other enchants that are adding plus weapon damage. So I created a simple example. If we had 40 total weapon damage, we would then take 25% of that value, which is 10, and that solves the portion of the equation that is circled in red there. What we have now is the exact amount of bonus we're getting from our physical power. We then just add that back to our weapon damage, and we've got a total of 50 for this portion. The final step within this first portion here is just to add any additional physical damage modifiers that you're getting from your enchants. For the sake of this example, we will just pretend like we've got plus 5 additional physical damage, so we're going to add that onto the 50, giving us a total of 55. So we have the first part of the equation solved, and this is what I refer to sort of as your total physical damage. Very next step is to account for any limb multipliers. So like if you hit their arms or their legs, it's going to do less than full damage. Body, it doesn't have any kind of modifier, and a headshot is plus 50%. To continue working from our example, we're going to assume that we're hitting a headshot here. So we just simply need to multiply our value of 55 times 50% and then add that right back onto the 55. So now with a headshot, we're up to 82.5 damage before taking into consider armor rating or also any additional true physical damage. So the next thing we need to do is take into account armor rating, or rather physical damage reduction modifier, which is caused by armor rating. When you're attacking a dumbass dummy, they've got 0 armor rating, so you're actually getting a bonus 10% damage against them. You'll see their value is negative 10% at a 0 armor rating. Against enemies, they're almost always going to have higher than 0, so it'll be some sort of reduction to your damage. So we'll be doing this against a dummy, and so they actually get a negative 10% physical damage reduction, which means that we need to add an additional 10% to this number of 82.5. 10% of 82.5 is just simply 8.25, so our new total is 90.75. And then finally, it's time to take any true physical damage that's being added from your gear, exact value as it is. If you've got plus 5, you just tack 5 more on. And now you've got your actual final number of damage that you'll be doing. If you were to go dummy test with these exact same circumstances, you would hit a 95. And you can change any of these values as you need to. If you're up against a heavily geared fighter, maybe he has 50% damage reduction. So instead of that negative 10%, that bonus to our damage that we did earlier, you would actually reduce it by 50%. Wizard follows the same equation, the only difference being that instead of weapon damage, we're taking the magical damage value from the specific spell we're using, adding in any damage from your crystal ball or your spell book, and then instead of a physical power bonus, you're going to be looking at your magical power bonus. Instead of additional physical damage being added in, you're looking at additional magical. The armor rating gets treated differently because now you're looking at magical resistance instead of armor rating. And lastly, you're adding true magical damage at the very end instead of true physical. Alright, now I'm going to show you this all play out with actual gear and stats. So the first thing I'm doing is just hovering over all my items so you can get an idea of my total stats. And you're going to need to do this if you want to get the proper calculation. So we know we need to have our physical damage bonus percentage, which is right there in my stat sheet on the left. You can see that I'm getting 7% additional from a total physical power rating of 22. Keep in mind that strength directly translates into physical power 1 for 1. So we start at 15 strength, that's our 15, and we're getting a total of 7 more through some of our gear. We also need to track those other variables that get added into that equation. So through my gear, I've got plus 4 weapon damage, plus 10 additional physical damage, and plus 6 true physical damage, so we'll take note of those to work them into the equation. The base weapon damage on my longsword was 45, and then like I said, we've got that additional 4 coming in from the enchant, so we've got a total weapon damage of 49. We saw that we had 22 total physical power for a 7% bonus, so we're going to take 7% of 49 and then add it onto the 49. So this gives us a total of 52.43. Next, we're going to add our additional physical damage, of which we have 10. So that's simple. We're going to jump to 62.43. We then take that 62.43 and we need to apply the headshot modifier. So we're going to take 50% of it and then add it right back onto the 62.43. This brings us to 93.64, and the final consideration is armor rating. We're doing this against a dummy, so once again, we're actually adding 10% instead of reducing. And then the very final consideration is that true physical damage. We've got +6, and so if all of our math is correct, we should do 109 damage to the test dummy with a headshot. And would you look at that, 109 damage to the head, just like the equation said that we would do. Success, the equation is correct, and I have double checked this in various different ways. Now that's gonna do it, and I honestly have got to get the hell out of here. Mr. Krabs is fucking pissed. I've got the Colonel knocking back at my door. I guess I'm not getting away with it easy, but at least you now have the damage equation, and you can actually understand somewhat what you're actually doing in the game. Thank you so much for watching. Please like, comment, subscribe. It matters so much to me right now, and I'll see you in the next video.